they hate. And I know better than to listen to the people who are calling us slaves. I can feel the sunlight shining.
Well, good morning, everyone. My name's Brian, and today is Tuesday, April 30th, 2024, and this is episode 687 of the Lots Project podcast, and it's titled, What a Difference a Thousand Miles Makes, and I'll be chatting about looking forward to designing things and systems and homestead-related items in this climate compared to Minnesota. More Last Car Standing, a few questions I have about that show, a day at Delinquent Gully, and much, much more. First, let's check out who's in the live chat, see who's in that coffee crew hanging out. We'll grab a cup and hang out for an hour. Good morning, good morning, good morning. In early, Jim. Hey, Jim, we were worried about you yesterday. Did your home care nurse forget to turn your alarm on? Good morning, Jim. Thanks for stopping in. Digger, good morning. How's it going? I saw your question mark over on the vertical feed. Yeah, if you were curious why that was up last night, it's wonky how I have to set this up with StreamYard to get both a horizontal live and then the vertical live get put in the shorts feed on YouTube. It's just part of it. So after I set it up, there's two for a while, and then it is then just one. Good morning, Rewilder Life. How we doing this morning? Rewilder Life, good morning. Doing the same with planning systems and no different with the climate, though. Congratulations to Rewilder Life and her husband. It's super cool. She posted a picture in the Telegram group yesterday that they closed on property, or I believe it was construction loan. Property was already done. Construction loan for their farm. Their homestead. They're done. They're getting out. They're going to build it. And if they build it, they will move there and probably don't want anyone to come over if they're anything like me. No, but congratulations. It was a long, strenuous process, and I had it actually on my notes one of the other days, but it was jam-packed full of notes. It was down at the bottom, but it's going to kind of share the struggles of when we were doing our mortgages, because Rachel was having some fun with the construction loan and the bank and all the bullshit that they offer. So when's construction start? Is it soon? Is ground broken yet? Did you get the papers, the ink not dry on the papers, and start blasting away building something, or is it going to be a while yet? Good morning, Pickle Pete. Thanks for stopping in. Let's check over on the vertical feed. Say hello. No one on the vertical feed yet this morning. And over on Noster, hey, Jim. Jim's getting around. He's still at least partially coherent after he was missing yesterday. He's hit both Noster and YouTube. So thanks, Jim, for dropping in over on Noster. So anyway, what is in the cup today? We got Hector the light Colombian back in the cup today. He is as fantastic as ever. Hector is a very, very, very nice Colombian bean, and when Brian gets his hands on it and roasts it to its peak perfection, as I prefer in the light roast, it is phenomenal. So definitely head on over to Food Forest Farms, pick up your bag of your very own bag of Hector the light Colombian, or any of the Lots Project blends that we have to offer, including Get Shit Done blend, the GSD blend. We have blends for all the dogs, Norman, Walter, and Clyde. It's funny when I say them backwards and out of order, I'm always forgetting one, or think I'm forgetting one. And then, Silver Bullet blend. We have a bunch. We've done a lot. So, morning, Hunter, over on Twitch. Thanks for popping in. As always, over there, holding down the fort on Twitch is very, very important job. Guys, I shouldn't sigh. Today. I'm a little itchy. I'll say that. I don't think I jumped in the shower quite quick enough yesterday to avoid some bites from my trip out to the Gully. And when I got there, I forgot to the sponge bath went long. Are you popping Viagra before the sponge bath again, Jim? Jeez. Jeez. Hey, come scrub this thing. Knock the dust off it first. So I forgot to spray down. I forgot to spray my pant legs down yesterday, and I might have got a couple of creepy crawlies. A couple of creepy crawlies out there at Delinquent's Gully, and they might have zapped me a little bit. So got a little bit itchy going on, so that's why I'm sighing a little bit. But I did get a message yesterday. My buddy Greg from Tinker Tribe, somebody I met at SRF a couple times. Fantastic dude, does a lot of cool stuff. I'm going to jump on his show tonight and do an interview 7 Central tonight. Let me grab that. Let me grab that link and get it in the chat here. Hold on one second. You guys might have met Greg. I believe if I'm not mistaken, that if you were at SRF Fall 2023, I think fall 2023, Greg was the guy that John Willis called out from stage. Was kind of asking how to get started and this and that, and Willis basically told him, do it, go buy the domain right now. If you don't have the money on you, I'll buy it for you. I'll pay for it. I'll help you get started, whatever you want, but just go do something. So I'm excited to talk to Greg. We bounced back and forth kind of all over through the winter, and then we hooked back up again at spring SRF. And it's going to happen. So tonight, 7 Central. If you haven't checked out Greg's stuff, definitely click on that link, subscribe to the channel. And if you're around tonight, 7 p.m., I'm sure he would love to have some live chatters in for the interview. So looking forward to that. The Tinker Tribe on YouTube. So, all right, let's get going. What is on the list today? Title of the show is What a Difference 1,000 Miles Makes. And what I got thinking about yesterday was there was a post in the Telegram group. Well, a series of posts in the Telegram group. Wow, everything's getting kind of laggy. Weird. Is that just laggy? Did I do like robot moves just on my end, or was that on the output too? I don't know. My computer's been acting kind of. I shouldn't say my computer. My laptop has been acting kind of goofy. So I guess that's a computer. Anyway, there were a couple comments and pictures and stuff in the Telegram group that got me thinking. And it's not a secret. It's not like a revelation or anything, but it was something that I started thinking about again yesterday that I wanted to chat about. Was I believe it was Hunter posted a picture of his comfrey. He posted a picture of his first tomato he got. And the people as far as going north, Canadian Farmstead, good morning, thanks for stopping. Canadian Farmstead was one of them, saying that he just got his tomatoes started in the high tunnel. I believe it was Rachel. Rachel was talking about just still having them under lights in the basement. And I got thinking, that was pretty much the main reason we left Minnesota. The -30 sucks, like dealing with it, the -20s, the -10s, like all of that sucks. The piles of snow, that sucks. The thing that really put it over the top, I guess two things, were the having to grow or produce or get all the work done on your active farm, your growing of your food, raising of the animals in ideal conditions. Like, I processed rabbits in the winter in Minnesota, and it was no fun. If I had an indoor facility, it'd been different. Obviously, there are ways around this. I'm not saying that it's impossible to do. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it if you're in that area, blah, 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 all of that. It wasn't for me. I wasn't going to put the money in for the infrastructure. I could have, legit, I could have built a pole barn, an insulated, heated pole barn with fucking lights and aquaponics and hydroponics and everything I wanted, raised my animals in it, and did all of that. But I didn't want to put that money into having that set up. But having to do all your, let's call it thawed out stuff, like the stuff you got to have a little bit of warmth and a little bit of sun, and having to put that all within 3 to 4 months was insane. It was absolutely insane. It was 1,000 miles an hour for that short period of time. And then the rest of the year, you sat around going, well, fuck, what do I do now? What do I do now? I didn't get this done. I didn't get that done. Well, I'll do it better next year. We'll do it faster next year. Trying to raise like our meat birds and stuff on pasture when the pasture doesn't show up until shit. You never know, like mid-May, end of May, June, beginning of June. Trying to order birds through the mail when you could have negative temperatures when they're delivered doesn't work really well. Like, you get nervous when it's like 20, 30 degrees, when it's a cold snap, and Rewilder Life. See, I like that. I can chill. It was going to get to a point where, as I got older, as I slowed down and I wasn't able to keep up and get it all done in 4 months, it wasn't what I wanted. Absolutely not what I wanted. Especially trying to make a living out of it, trying to produce enough for me and an excess enough to sell off and support myself. Moving 1,000 miles in one direction, coming to Tennessee. So we purposely were here for a year, watched kind of the climate and talked to people. And is this normal? Is this colder than normal? Is this more than normal? Is this more rain, less rain, hot is less, the whole thing for a year. And then going by the USDA zones and the average frost dates, and that we gain an extra 3 months. Holy crap. Sorry about this bouncing, guys. He's had an itch this morning. I don't know if he got the same thing I did or whatever, but I think we got an extra 3 months. So like an extra 90 days to do things, to start things, to finish things off. Things I also realized were, this is completely doable. Things that I couldn't even fathom doing in Minnesota. Aquaponics is completely doable here. Not a chance in hell in Minnesota unless you do it inside. You are not keeping, you can keep the water thawed. You can keep it, you can do aquaponics, you can do all this stuff. I'm not saying you can't. I wasn't going to do it. I wasn't going to put it inside. I wasn't going to spend that much money on heat to keep the water thawed. That's not efficient. It's not efficient. Pip says Florida is year around growing, but most don't even try to grow. Yeah, that's the thing. Canadian Farm says 3 months is huge. That's a whole rotation on some crops. Yeah. Oh, for sure. And so the other thing was I can grow over all year round here. Um, in Minnesota, when we started our homestead, I was very naive. Well, not necessarily naive. I needed to pickle pea says basement aquaponics can double as a basement hot tub. It can also double as a fucking humidity nightmare in your house. I had just enough aquaponics in my kitchen to go, holy shit, I can only imagine if I had a bigger system. Yeah. Yeah. Uh, but anyway, we I started designing systems to try to overcome the cold, like trying to extend seasons, trying to say the one of the biggest examples was my chicken water system. So I went back and forth. Backwards says it also doubles as mold, and that's the thing that I was going to mention, but yeah, it is what it is. You can weird weird pickle Pete had a 1,200 gallon aquaponics system in a Tacoma farmhouse. What were you farming? Lettuce? But I tried to start to overcome the stuff. Like I was cautiously optimistic. I know enough about science, chemistry, physics, and the such that I started dabbling in alternative ways to extend my season. Using unutilized resources like heat from the compost. What can I do with the heat from my compost? Can I run a coil through it and maybe get some water extension? Because the way we did our water, if you guys didn't know, we had a farmhouse on top of the hill. We had a well for the farmhouse. We had a secondary well, which was the original well near the farmhouse that we used for the garden and the animals. It wasn't potable. It might have been. It was pretty clean at some points. But in the winter, we didn't have any water with our animals. And really even in the summer, we ran a huge long hose down there and filled up bulk waters. But as the temperature dropped in the winter, we couldn't have bulk waters. Everything just froze solid. So we carried 5-gallon buckets in a sled, usually in the winter, in a sled down the hill, up the hill, back and forth every day, gallons and gallons and gallons and gallons and gallons and gallons of water. Cold enough that the shit started to freeze before you got it to the barn and poured it into the water. Usually frozen within an hour or so after you watered them. So basically, they have about an hour to drink. Our rabbits, we had to go through 3 or 4, I think it was 4 sets at the very dead of winter. Normally 3 sets of water bottles, because they would freeze so fast. The metal balls in them and stuff would freeze to the stem if they didn't drink constantly. So you would go to put it on the rabbit cage and you had to hold the stem to thaw it out with your body heat. And so the ball was loose so they could drink it. And the rabbit would come over and they were so thirsty and they'd pound on that thing. And then they'd take a breath and they'd pound on it some more and drink. And then as soon as they kind of were satisfied and they hopped away, that shit froze solid. No more water. No more water. And we changed them 3-4 times a day. It took them 8 to 12 hours to thaw out. So it was a losing battle for sure. So I started to try to come up with ideas to help extend those seasons, to help shorten the time that I was carrying water, transporting it at 5-gallon buckets, having to deal with the rabbit water. The way we dealt with the rabbit water is we got rid of rabbits, basically. The way we were set up, heated water bowls weren't going to work. It really wasn't an option. I didn't want them to get wet and die. And B, I didn't want to pay for the electric to do it. So we just got rid of rabbits. That was as easy as that. But the chickens, I started to try to design some systems I designed, hey, Loco, I'm not sure if I caught you on the way in, but good morning. I have Scramble had told me I need to reach out for you to reach out to you to get ideas for making working in the jungle more comfortable, I guess. So one of the things was a compost using the heat from the compost, basically putting a coil in the middle of the compost pile, constantly turning the compost pile, constantly keeping it going over the winter, adding more. We did have plenty of feedstock for that. We could pile up green. We had enough chickens. We had enough bedding. We had enough wood chips. We could have rolled it through. But there was a point in the winter in Minnesota, and it wasn't that far into winter, probably in December, and it just kept getting colder, where overnight, so you turn the compost pile, you got 160-ish degrees on the inside. Yeah, when you get it cooking, pretty good. 130, 160 degrees. It's pretty warm, pretty warm. Go down, turn it on the inside, keep it cooking, cover up the outside, go inside, wait overnight, go down the next morning, and the crust, the outside of the compost pile, is frozen solid with a core of 160 degrees. It doesn't take too long for that to just start permeating, and it doesn't take too long before you're mixing frozen crust in with the inside, and your pile of stuff that you're going to add in, your feedstock, is completely a frozen pile of shit. Literally. So that idea was kind of crunched. Here, rock and roll, no problem. Let's get a big old compost pile going and utilize that for some heat. No problem. I was thinking yesterday when I started thinking about tomatoes and Canadian Farmstead was talking about his high tunnel. He's a Canadian Farmstead. You're up in Ontario, right? So you're probably on par with Rachel over in Michigan, or are you even south of her? But I was thinking that, man, it'd be really easy here to grow in a greenhouse, even over the winter, even all through the winter. It got cold. Even I think with the cold snap we got with some prep, and we knew it was coming. We knew those temperatures were coming. I think between having a couple of good compost systems set up to run some supplemental heat through there with a coil and a thermal siphon, just north of Lake Ontario. Okay, so this is probably a little too much. You probably get too cold to do this even in your hoop house. Maybe not. Maybe in the hoop house it would stay. I don't know. You lose a lot of heat at night through the plastic. But a system with a couple of big heat sinks, basically maybe black totes or black 55-gallon drums getting beat on in the sun in there, storing that heat in, dissipating it at night, using the constant flow of 160-degree compost heat coming through in a heat coil. That is going to heat that greenhouse enough to keep at least your cold weather crops good. It's going to keep the frost off them. It's going to keep them alive. And then on either side of that, you got such an extended growing season to grow on whatever the hell you want, really. So that's exciting. Keeping our chicken water. Chris Dixon's wondering what a daylight hours. That's another thing here. The swing in daylight is not as significant. Not as bad as we were in Texas, but you don't have the super long summer days and the super ass short winter days. You get good morning, Chris Dixon. It's Corey, are you really busy right at the moment? Oh, never mind. No worries. It doesn't get super short days in December here. Let me grab it real quick. Sorry, I wasn't prepared for that question, Chris. So yeah, it's just amazing the this is just today, guys. I'm not going to be able to figure this out while I'm doing the show, but it's more consistent throughout the years. Um Rewild Life says it has friends who grows an unheated hoop house in its wild. He uses thermal mass long to scale. Yeah, thermal mass is huge. Is huge. It's such it like rocket mass heaters, things like that. Learning all these little supplemental things that I did in Minnesota turn into realities here, turn into significant heat gain or cooling gain or whatever, really. And it was funny because Rachel said something. I was talking about how happy I am coming down here and be able to utilize all the systems that I kind of dreamt up that failed. They didn't fail completely. They started to work. The conditions were just too harsh for what I designed. My capabilities, the money I wanted to put into them, the work I wanted to put into them, the labor, ongoing maintenance, things like that, just didn't make sense. But they turn into legitimate, and almost overpowered or overscaled designs in the system. And Rachel's like, yeah, but we don't have the heat and the humidity and the tornadoes. And unfortunately, in Minnesota, and this was last year when we traveled there in July, or traveled to South Dakota to get our residency last year. It was just as shitty there when we were there. It was in the 90s with crappy humidity. It was it, the season's longer here. Obviously, that's the whole thing. The heat and humidity is a little longer here, but it's not like we don't have a week or two or more at different times of year in Minnesota where it's just as shitty, 90 and super high humidity, and no wind, and we got tornadoes, but I didn't see negative here at all last year. And it was the coldest it's ever been in history here or something, is what they told me. But it's just the way to think about it. What's that? Oh, and no mosquitoes. Fucking mosquitoes. You know, these little chigger things that you get at if you don't put a little deed around your pant legs, and they're kind of annoying. They're annoying. They're dealable. Um, yeah, it's. I would rather deal with the snakes and the spiders than the cold. Loco says he's drinking cold brew Arabica tonight. It's 95 F and 60% humidity lately. What? Pickle Pete, what are you talking about here, Pete? Oh, here. Um Oh, Pickle Pete says he remembers being forced to run soccer in the 99% and humid. I think I told my parents and coach to fuck off. End of my team sport days. Yeah, it is. It is rough. It is rough. It is rough. So I'm excited. I'm excited to take all the stuff I learned there that didn't quite work. My design on my water, my auto water feeder, or my chicken auto watering system. There we go. I got sick of carrying those buckets up and down the hill, so I designed something where it was It was a 55-gallon drum, and it was recirculating through auto water nipples, and it had a stock heater in it. It was a pretty elegant design, but it it froze out when temperatures got into the teens consistently overnight, or highs in the teens. It lasted until the high was in the teens for the day, and overnight was 0 or below. And I mean, it was a solid design. It just couldn't handle the fucking cold. It was just too cold there. So yeah, I'm glad to be here. I'm okay with the heat. I'm okay with the humidity. I'm okay with the spiders and the snakes and all the loving goodness that we can get here. Because I don't have to deal with cold, and it extends my season. Corey and I were seeking someplace where we could go and be here all year round, and if we needed to, without a whole lot of external inputs. Not a whole ton of heating in the winter, not a whole ton of cooling in the summer, if any, and have a extended time to grow our food and to take care of ourselves and supply for us what we need. We're talking if it had to be, if we had to make it happen, where do we want to be? Where would the easiest place to be? And I think we found it. I think I found it. So it's exciting. It's exciting. And being out at Delinquent's Gully yesterday, I spent the time out with Toolman Tim and Sean Mills. I saw Becky and Dawn and Sean's daughter, and it was great. We talked. We set up a solar panel for Tim's Blue Eddy. Sean had a nice, I think it was 280-watt solar panel that we mounted. We dropped some trees to clear a little path for it. And now Tim basically has off-grid power at his cabin whenever he wants. He just plugs in his Blue Eddy during the day and charges it up. You can use it as it's charging, so he can harness real-time sunlight and then have it topped off at night to use overnight. Cool. It was really cool. Learned a couple tips and tricks on the solar stuff. That's always fun. Learned a lot. Every time I get around Sean, I learn a bunch from him, so it's great hanging out with him. And then we talked water, and we talked pumping water, and we talked direct DC. I mean, the guy did a whole white paper on DC. Direct DC, trying to figure out how to get water to Tim's cabin. Obviously, we're going to do rainwater catchment, but we wanted to have a 2-as-1, 1-as-none backup plan. And so we just started bullshitting about pumps and dams and different ways to collect, store, transfer water. We talked ram pumps. And we kind of batted around different ideas where, storage systems and moving things with solar power and gravity. It's pretty good. I'm okay with that. Stuff that you really legitimately, if you wanted to set up in Minnesota, basically could use for 4 months a year. Like, legitimately, it drove home the fact that unless you wanted to bury all this shit 4 feet in the ground, unless you wanted to spend $1 million a year on heat trace and electricity to keep things thawed out, all the stuff we discussed yesterday would be used for a third of the year, for a fourth of the year in Minnesota. It isn't, the juice isn't there. The juice isn't worth the squeeze to set this shit up when you have to drain it in September or early October, because if you don't, the whole thing will freeze and it'll all break. You can't run a ram pump when shit freezes up. As cold as it got here last year, none of the springs on the property froze. They just ran the whole time. So if you set up something that works off the power of it running, it's always going to run. And if it really, really, really freezes, you got bigger things to worry about at that point. It's a roll of the dice, but it's a very low chance that it's going to happen. Obviously, you design quick drain stuff, but I don't really think Rewilder Life says you're excited. It was just this moment, and it was actually when I was driving home. It wasn't when I was talking to Sean, and it was serendipitous that I was thinking about this on my drive home. And then the whole conversation happened in the Telegram group later. And there's a lot of stuff that happens that way. In my life, a lot that kind of just overlaps like that. But I was just thinking about all the things that we had discussed, and really starting to troubleshoot and evaluate what I'm going to be doing there, what I'm going to be doing for Tim there, what I'm going to be doing for me there, what I'm going to be doing for the plans that we have for the property. And yeah, I was super excited. Rachel says, as you're saying you're excited, I was super excited about that and the possibilities and what it opens up. And then I realized that it wouldn't have been possible. Like all of the things I was thinking about, all of the new opportunities that it presents. Yeah, I'm excited for sure. Canadian Farm says, yeah, but global warming, soon Rachel and I will have Tennessee weather and you all be roasting. So be it. I'll just move again. But that's the plan. I mean, this is the kind of the year-round spot. Once this is set up, man, then I'll go find something in the winter. I'll go snowbird and set something up, some resilient system somewhere else that I can turn on and off if I want. And then maybe head back north and set one up for the summer. That obviously won't be that efficient. It'll be start and stop, but we really are jacked up about our year-round capabilities here. That's all. 1,000 miles. 1,000 miles is all it took. Oh, yeah. So I mentioned a little bit about the day yesterday out at Tim's. We put up a solar panel. We ran some wires. We kind of talked a couple different things. This is just like different connector types and things like that. We did drop a couple trees. Tim picked up a 20-volt DeWalt chainsaw for the property. It's a battery chainsaw. It's a battery chainsaw. What would you think you'd get out of that? Excuse me. Fill my cup here. What would you think you would get out of a battery chainsaw? I was cautiously optimistic, I guess. I had seen good reviews from them. I had seen people say they really liked it. I hadn't really seen much bad. The saw was what it was. It was a battery operated chainsaw. It really depends on what you're using it for. We were using a screwdriver as a hammer, basically. The saw wasn't designed for what we were using it for. I think if you have the DeWalt tool system, if you have the DeWalt battery system, it's super convenient. I will definitely say it's super convenient to pop a battery in, zip, gone. If you're doing little limbs, Chris Dixon wondered why I hammered a chainsaw. It is a great tool for a suburban house. It's a great tool if you're cutting up limbs in your yard, if you're trimming, maybe if you're zipping up maybe pruning trees, with bigger branches. I don't know if you'd ever need that to prune trees. Cutting up small stuff, yeah, maybe up to 8 inches. These guys are saying, um, it was okay. It bound up a lot. The chain tensioner was kind of wonky. It was basically a screw, and you unscrewed it and just pulled the bar up and screwed it back together. That was kind of weird. We had to chain jump the bar at one point, but we were cutting. I think the biggest maybe Pickle Pete says there's a 14-inch chain on his Ryobi. I'm having to say that bar, we cut a tree that was the same size as the bar, maybe a little bit. There was one that was maybe an inch longer than the bar. So we were definitely pushing it to its limits. I think I had to jump around when I was knocking out the wedge of one. I think I had to hop around and get the backside because it was just short enough. So yeah, we were definitely pushing the things to its limit. I do have to say it dropped every tree that we tried. I didn't have to go get my chain gas saw, my gas chainsaw, my chain gas saw. I didn't have to do that. I didn't have to have any mixed gas. I didn't have to have any of that or trouble. My Husqvarna isn't usually a trouble getting it started. But yeah, Pickle Pete says those are usually the home units for limbing. I mean, really, that is what it would be perfect for. Hunter said, "Did it have an oil pump?" I have no idea. I gave Tim bar oil. He filled it, and I didn't even think about it. We weren't working long enough that it should have been out. But we only dropped like 3 or 4 trees, but it worked. I think it was right out of the box. I don't know how sharp the chain was that came with it, so I don't know if you touch that chain up if it would work a little better. But it felt like a toy to me. It felt like a toy. I I am used to running Husqvarna with 20-inch bar. It's a big saw. It's a bigger saw. It's not as big as a lot, but it's bigger than this. And it felt like a toy to me. It felt plasticky. It felt like if I bounced it around in the back of the truck, things like that. If I was using it on a daily basis, I don't know. But for a day to day or for a once in a while, you had a tree blow over in your yard. You needed to get some limbs and stuff like that. Pickle P says, wait, shorter days, you're getting older. Yeah, that was the other thing I was going to mention. For treat your tool right. Dude, shit happens in the woods. Just saying. Um if I was trailblazing, and I was taking down stuff up to 3, 4, 5 inches, maybe, this would probably be right. This would probably be just great. And like he said, it was super light. It was super light. So trailblazing is fine. The thing is, I cut those down with a machete in about 4 swipes. So the fact that I got to dick around with 20-volt batteries and I got to fuck around with the chain jumping off, the chain tensioner and shit like that, those trees that I was like, this would be great for, I already take care of it with a machete. I mean, really, it's two cross chops, and then give it a little tension and give it a couple more whacks, and it's done. It's gone. So I don't know if I need the saw. Me personally. Pickle P says it's so light you can use one hand, and that is the only. But yeah, that was a little spooky. I did do a little bit of one-handed stuff when I was out there, and I was like, I don't know about this. And the fact that it felt like a toy, I think, could get really dangerous. When I have that Husqvarna in my hand, I know I have a dangerous tool in my hand. I know that this thing could cut my leg off. I know that if it splits my face, I'm done. But I don't know. So Hunter asked how the brake was on it. Brake was if the brake was set, the chain wasn't moving for sure. As far as setting the brake, I don't know. I didn't test it. I can't think that I can't think that it was too awfully long that the chain would stop because the shit bound up like crazy. The Sting bound up when there was no tension on it. It basically you'd just be cutting it if you got it too slight of an angle. You twisted the bar whatsoever, it would just suck. It would stop it instantly. So I don't think that there's a ton of power behind it, and it's a 20-volt battery. So Canadian Farmstead said a good sawzall with a pruning blade can do a lot of that small work as well. And Sean and I said the exact same thing. When we were so we had 3 guys there that had enough of a mechanical mind, that had done enough work out in the woods, had done enough work around homesteads and this and that. Was everything I could have done at home, trimming tree limbs, limbing trees, I could have done with a sawzall with a pruning blade and got multifunctionality out of it because I had a sawzall and be able to change all the blades. Dixon says, I don't think the battery saws are meant for felling trees, more like limbing and yeah. Yeah, it is. It's a tool for a job, and that job isn't anything that I'm doing, really. I don't need but it's awesome that tool is going to be on the property. I'm not saying I'm going to go throw it in the trash. I'm saying that I might not pick it up very often. But I'm sure there are use cases, and I'm sure if you don't want the maintenance of a gas saw, I'm sure if you don't want to do all of it, it would be all right. I think you could get away with a sawzall with a pruning blade, because if you're going to get outside that pruning blade, you're going to get in the territory where you're not really, maybe not too big, a little maybe too big for that saw anyway. So Pickle B said 40 volt and 80 volt are way better for the saws. And that is the case. Like, this was the 20 volt saw. This was a 20 volt. So it did have a little less gumption. Canadian Farm says, as I do like not breathing the fumes all day as well. What's wrong with you? What the hell is wrong with you? Hunter says, how many feet of boards you think running it as a chainsaw mill? Ooh, don't even try it. As far as like out of a battery, we got quite a bit. I was surprised what we got out of the battery. And I don't even know what size the battery was, guys. 5 amp hour, maybe. I wasn't doing it as a review. Tim handed it to me to drop some trees, so we had a little more sunlight. And like I said at the beginning, we got everything done. Hey, Grinder, thanks for the zap. Jim, thanks for the zap. I appreciate that over on Noster. We got the trees on the ground. In the end, we got the tree on the ground. Chris Dixon says, I'll keep supporting the oil and gas industry. Me too. I'll use my battery powered recip. Actually, I think I might have to get a new one because I stripped that shit out and I don't think that rigid was warranted because it was a gift. Strip the gear out of that some bitch, and every 4 or 5 times I use it, now I gotta yank the piston out so it relocks in. So I don't know. I'll take it apart and take a look at it, but I'm guessing it's all ground out inside from doing firewood for a whole winter. Awesome. But yeah, I don't know. It was a good tool. Would I buy one? No, I would not buy one. Is there a place for it? Yeah, for sure. Hunter says, oh wait. Hunter says I got to do one on TikTok. I don't think they sell DeWalt tools on TikTok. I don't know for sure. Anyway, what else I got on the list? Oh, yeah. Last car standing. Let's go back to last car standing. Talked about it yesterday. It's guys, I'm addicted to this shit now. It's like just bad enough that you're like, this show is horrible, but it's also bad enough that you can't stop watching. You're like, it's kind of funny. Few notes I had on it, and glad I got a couple Canadians in here just to wonder, or just to you. So is there no FCC? Is there no similar thing as the FCC in Canada? Because some of the words, and you know me, I don't care about cursing. I don't really think that it's a thing. I think it's a bunch of fucking bullshit. Who gets to decide what's the bad words and what's the good words? But you get conditioned to what's on TV. I didn't know you could say cunt on TV. And the F-bomb drops like absolute wildfire. Does that air? Do they bleep that out when it airs on normal Canadian TV, or is that like a whole go you can use is like a free for all? Because legit, I might be able to battle the cold to move to Canada if they don't have any restrictions on language on TV, because that was fantastic. I was just like, all of a sudden my head snapped around and I was like, he said what? That's fantastic. Chris Dixon says, no, you're right. It's a terrible show, but it's like Bill Dance Outdoors 3 hours later and you're still watching. Yeah, for sure. Hunter says it's Canada. It's like the maple candy things. You just can't stop eating them. You can smell them across the room. And you're like, oh my God, that's way too much. And you just can't stop eating them. Yeah. So the language thing is, it was fantastic. I was like, holy crap. Chris Dixon says they're censored out the ass, but sometimes they sneak through. So this might just be a thing where it was the unedited version went to Amazon. But I was just like, okay, this is cool. It's not overly Canadian. And guys, you can pick this up on Prime right now. You can check it out if you use Amazon Prime. It's on there. All you go to your Prime video and search Last Car Standing. You're welcome. It's not overly Canadian. It's not Super Trooper 2's Canadian. It's but it's got its moments for sure. So they do a lot of they do a lot of video from inside the car with like the contestant and their partner, their co-pilot or whatever they want to call them. And so they catch the offhand comments. Dixon says it's like TikTok, it's a trap. It is, like, you'll watch the whole fucking thing. But they catch some really candid Canadian phrases. And then I think they try to stay away from it when they're actually doing the unscripted, the scripted chats, like where they're asking them questions and things like that. but when they get into the vehicle and it's not they can't like retake it or things, you really end up with some classic Canadian yeah, we're gonna send it, bud, and things like that. So that's fun to watch, but it isn't like stupidly over Canadian. Canadian Farm says we also had a thing where cable channels were able to get away with more of the stations were broadcast over the air. Yeah, I was wondering if it was on like a adult-ish channel or something. Oh my god, it's yeah, it's great. It's great. And the one thing though yesterday that I couldn't get over, I ended up posting it in Toolman Tim's TikTok chat. Um, Chris Dixon says Canada's worst driver is next on the docket. I'm pretty sure Toolman told me that Canada's worst driver is a good one. But last night there was something I couldn't get past. I couldn't get past the name. So it was the sports car edition. They had the Toyota Corolla. They had the, what was it? Sunfire. They had a Sebring. I don't know. We watched so many episodes, I can't even keep them straight anymore. But they had a car that was a Toyota. The name started with a C. It was spelled Celica. And for the first half of the fucking episode, I didn't even know what kind of car it was. Because they kept saying John with the Celica. And I'm like, what the fuck is the Celica? I don't know what is this Celica thing that you're talking about? This guy has a 97 Celica. I'm like, what the fuck is a Celica? And I'm listening, I'm watching, and I'm looking at him like, that really looks familiar. And the other guy had a Toyota Corolla that I was like, yeah, that's obvious. And they kept saying it, and then they put it up on the screen. I happened to be like looking at the screen because this is definitely a show you can do other shit while you're watching. Definitely, you can do other shit while you're watching. Watch Brian's TikToks while you're doing it. Just keep them on. I looked at the screen, and I was like, that's not Celica. What is wrong with you? It's a Toyota Celica. Like, seriously, is that a Canadian thing? Celica? Or is you just trying to sound fancy? The guy might have been from Quebec. He might have been from Quebec talking about his Celica and all his fancy cars. But I almost had to turn it off. I couldn't listen to it. And then I was like, God damn it, it's gonna get in my head, and that's all I'm ever gonna say from now on. I'll be like, hey guys, you remember when you had that Celica? What? What do you guys call it? Oh no, Chris Dixon says it's like how Canadians say garage. Hunter says wait until you hear Acura. Oh no. How do you say garage, Chris? Mom car. It was in the sports car edition. The Datsun mini truck. We watched last night. I think we ended up watching 2 episodes because we had to wait to let the dogs out. Was it 2 episodes? Probably. I don't know. They all blend together. But we saw the pickup truck episode. They do some really interesting things. If I was on this show, I would definitely go out with a blaze of glory. This dude that was driving the Corolla absolutely torched it on the end. He made it to the end. They have this thing called the Beater Buster. Like, how do you come up with these names? The Beater Buster, and they take it through this obstacle course basically. So he's driving a Toyota Corolla through like over car rims and yeah, through concrete barriers, and the dude ends up like literally popping both his front tires and snapping both his tie rods and probably snapping his axle. And when he was trying to drive, his front tires were pointing in like pigeon toes. They were like, he's turning the wheel and they're just both pointing in. And the dude just absolutely at the end, he just put it to the floor and was like doing half donuts trying to steer this thing, and he rails the wall. And he's like, if it's the last time I drive this baby, I'm going for it. Logo says you have to wear your wife's beater, undershirt, and Daisy Duke cutoffs. What, to drive a Celica or to drive a Datsun mini truck? Or just to go on the show? At least the last few episodes, everybody had the same color shirt on. And I think I figured out their ploy. I talked about last night or yesterday how if you win the episode, you can take $10,000 worth of vehicle upgrades, not cash. They're only going to put it into your car. And we did see some people take the 10 grand and they do a really nice job. Like if you put 10 grand into a $200 car or a car, yeah, maybe not even worth 200. What's scrap price in Canada right now? But if you put 10 grand into a car like that, it actually looks amazing. I'm not going to lie, the two that they showed. But they also offer him this option where they can forego the 10 grand in automotive upgrades and go to the finals, the beater finals. And it will, you have a chance to win $50K in automotive upgrades. And I figured it out after the first three guys were like, yeah, I'll go for the 50 grand. They need at least 5 contestants to go for the 50. Otherwise, they won't have enough automotive upgrades to give out to everybody. So I think right now we're at 4. It's been a few days. I think we're at 4 people are going to the finals and 2 took the 10 grand. So we need at least one more person to forego their 10K and roll into the finals so that that last car standing will have enough automotive upgrades to pay out the 50 grand. I also figured out that their advertising scheme is that they tow any car that just they want. It doesn't even necessarily need to be dead. They'll come out and tow it just so they can get the Canadian Tire tow truck on the screen at least once or twice an episode. Last night I saw somebody crack their transmission in half and set their car on fire. That was a Norman earthquake. Literally they jammed it, and they had this weird challenge set up where they had 3 cars kind of set up in a triangle, and were all hooked together, and they had to see who could pull the furthest, or the first one to pull the other 2. And the dude crunched it, and he had been riding this car hard the whole time, and he crunched it, dropped it into gear, and you can hear his engine revving, and the wheels aren't even turning. And all of a sudden you could see flames under his car, and then all of a sudden the whole front of the car was all engulfed, and they're out trying to put the flames out, and they're like, yeah, dude, you cracked your transmission in half. They trashed you cracked your transmission in half and dropped all the oil out of it, and it all lit on fire. It was fantastic. He's sitting in the car just jamming the gas, running through the gears, and nothing's happening. And then he's on fire. Oh, man. Hanging Lottery, what TV show is being discussed? It's on Prime right now. Last Car Standing on Amazon Prime. Sorry I didn't catch the message there real quick. I am just excited about Last Car Standing. Jesus. Loco's talking about pull apart buns. Oh no, to get your Daisy Dukes up in there. Are you like the guy on 50 First Dates from the Adam Sandler's Crazy Buddy? I kind of picture you and that dude similar. Hunter says, Gavin says Full Metal Jousting is our next one. Oh man, are these on Amazon? If you guys got sweet Amazon shows we got to check out, definitely send me, because we we sit there and we're like, what should we watch? And we scroll and scroll and scroll and nothing looks good. So if you guys got options on Amazon Prime, I'm sure that we'll be done with Last Car Standing soon. Guys, it's 5 after. Holy crap. It's 5 after. Pickle Pete's waiting in the wings over on the Food Force Farms YouTube channel to bring you Wake Up Seattle. He's been rolling through every morning like clockwork right after this show. He's the same dude that makes my coffee, and he does a fantastic job on it. Posted a video of roasting customers' coffee live right in the Telegram chat yesterday. Yeah, we're going to get out of here. I appreciate everybody listening. If you enjoyed the show, it's always free to hit the like, share, and subscribe. To return value for value, please consider joining one of the YouTube membership tiers or listening on any value for value platform like Podverse or Fountain.fm. Or you can zappity zap, zap, zap over on Noster. We're there every day, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Central. Other than that, you can visit thelotsproject.com or comfreyroots.com. Be sure to check me out on the Tinker Tribe tonight, 7 p.m. Central. Link is in the video description. I will have it over in the Telegram group, or search the Tinker Tribe podcast on YouTube. Catch it live tonight, 7. If not, definitely catch the replay and go give Greg a follow. He's got or subscribe. He's got 250 subscribers. He's a really good dude. He's got a lot of cool shit going on. So definitely pop over there, hit the sub, and check out the interview tonight. Other than that, guys, we're going to wrap it up. I got a bunch of videos to do today. Get a bunch of stuff up on TikTok, YouTube, and the like. I've been slacking and lacking on that with focus on some other things at the moment. But we're going to catch up today, get it all done, and then we will hit you again tomorrow.